Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the ABL Market Briefing for, where are we now this month, for May. So we've got the main subject this morning will be the status of ship repairs in Greece. Just come to the next slide here. I'm John Walker. I'm taking over from Mark this morning. I look after our Americas region for the maritime business. I'm just in London this week and got roped into doing the introductions. So we do have this briefing today is accredited by the Chartered Insurance Institute. We get 1 CPD hour for participation. We're keeping a record of those of you in the room today and those online. If you haven't done so already, please sign in with the team on the desk outside after the briefing in order to be able to receive the follow-up email and CPD certification. Also, as a quick reminder today, we'll be ending the webinar portion of the briefing after the technical presentation, and the marine casualty case reports moving forward will only be presented in person. Of course, we're happy to discuss with anyone who would like more information on them post-briefing and to look at how we can make that data available to you. So please see us afterwards if you need anything. Okay, so I'm delighted to introduce today our technical presenters. Maria Dragomelli, a chartered naval architect and leads all of our operations from our Greek office in Piraeus. She will be presenting the topic today of ship repairs in Greece. And for this month's case reports, we've also got Maria's colleague, Christina, who's in offshore engineering and is currently in the ABL Group's engineering development scheme, and also based in the Greek office and visiting London this week. Okay, the usual caveats apply, Chatham House rules, and information contained in today's presentations, the opinions of the presenters and not necessarily those of ABL Group. Okay, we do always try and make improvements to these presentations. So if you can take a moment just to give us some feedback, it's always very valuable. If you want to tell us what future subjects you might be interested in, that would also be great for us to get. There's a QR code on the screen here, and if you miss it, we can send that in the follow-up email for those attending. And we're still signed up for the Neptune Declaration on Seafarers' Welfare. There's a lot of us come from seafaring backgrounds, and seafaring welfare is very important to us. I know a lot of the insurers are also signed up here to try and make it a better place on board ships and around the world. Okay, so before we get going, we've got one question here. I think this is you, Maria. You got this one, right? Okay, I'll hand over to Maria. I don't want to take your whole presentation. So. It looks good.
Right, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for making the effort to come in so early this morning. I'd be very keen to meet our audience a little bit today because I don't know all of you. So just to see how many of you are actually working with vessels operating in Greece, doing ship repairs in Greece. Can we get a show of hands? Pretty much everyone. Excellent. Thank you very much. And how many of you are attending Posidonia this year? Fantastic. So today's aim, obviously, apart from the aims of the technical presentation, is to give you all something to talk about during your next visit to Greece. One, you should be able to discuss at the end of this presentation is the current shipyard facilities, both for commercial and yachts. In Greece, you should be able to compare ship repair markets across the Eastern Mediterranean region. You will understand the status of ship repairs and market trends in Greece, and you'll be able to list the key challenges and trends in the Greek repair market. We will go over that at the end of the presentation again. So why Greece? Obviously, because it's long known for its shipbuilding industry, historic heritage, strategic location, and all of that. But what's going on today, and what about the future of repairs in Greece? So we're starting to see again a large number of vessels doing repairs in Greece again. It was estimated that last year we had more than 500 vessels actually calling Greek shipyards, a number that 10 years ago would have been unimaginable. There are significant investments that are going on at the moment. A good example is COSCO Shipping investing in the Port Piraeus Authority shipyard in Pérama. All the investments by Onyx Group for the Neorion shipyards in Syros and LFCs. And of course, the reopening of the Skaramangas shipyard. We have a great number of facilities right outside Greece, right outside Athens, about 30 minutes to 1 hour drive around Pérama that can service various sizes of ships on berthing alongside, doing float repairs on slipways, large dry docks that have been available for a number of years. They actually have been doing some new buildings, probably of non very big vessels, but a good example is the double-ended ro-ro ferries that they've been constructing in Greece that have been that we see them being sold to other countries. In fact, we have done a number of tow and single voyage approvals for these vessels going to South America. So it's all looking quite positive. I have taken this graph out of the data that the Hellenic Statistical Authority publishes every year. They do an overview of the number of ships they see coming in every year, and they do a split between the ones that have completed repairs afloat and in dry dock that we will see on the next slide. What is really nice to see is the increasing trend over the last 10 years. If we compare the number of vessels and the gross tonnage, the vessels we saw in 2023 and 2022, there's about a 10% increase, which is really positive. And most of all, because we expect that to continue over the next years. So another really nice table that is provided by the Hellenic Statistical Authority is a comparison of the number of ships that we have seen over the last 3 years. You will know that in 2023, we had just over 650 vessels calling Greek repair yards. They split between dry docks and repair yards, meaning doing repairs afloat. You will see that 409 vessels actually did repairs in repair yards, about 62% of the total number. 272 in dry docks. But what is really interesting to note is how the number is increasing, especially for the vessels that are calling dry docks, and also that the gross tonnage is increasing. If you see the numbers, then dry docked in 2023, 20.4% increase in number and 40% increase in size, which means that we are now seeing larger vessels and more vessels doing repairs in our dry dock facilities. So we've put together an overview of the largest facilities that we now see in Greece, mostly because we think that these are the ones that you will come across more often. I will say we don't have any commercial affiliations. We don't aim to do anyone any marketing in this briefing. All the information is in the public domain. Christina has very kindly done most of the background information for this presentation. So yeah, I will just try and give you the information that is not only on the slides. I will start with the facility in Pérama. The Piraeus Port Authority, as we call it, established in 1860. Now, this yard has traditionally been government-owned. There has been a series of investments since 2016 when COSCO Shipping invested into this facility. They restored the 2 floating docks. They brought a larger floating dock that can accommodate Panamax-sized vessels, the 2 graving docks, and in general, we see a lot more activity ever since the shipyard was privatized. Historically, the problem with the shipyards in Greece was that for the government-owned facilities especially, a lot of problems with the unions closing the shipyards. Now with privatization, we don't have this problem anymore. The service is a lot more reliable. and we see the Greek owners return back to Greece. Significant investments going on at the moment. I think COSCO announced somewhere that they will be doing an investment of 55 million euros into the shipbuilding infrastructure in the repair location, and they recently brought 2 big shipbuilding cranes, about 40 tons, that arrived in April. Reportedly cost about 8 million to buy. So we expect a lot of changes to happen in Panama in the near future with the installation of these cranes, and it's possible that the shipyard now will start offering more than just the general services to the owners doing repairs. Next one, if you find yourself at a beautiful island of Syros, there is one of the facilities that we have been most proud of probably in the last few years. It's been working really well. It's the Northern Shipyard in Syros. It has been backed by Onyx Group since 2018. It's one of the largest shipyard in Greece. They've got really good facilities with the cranes alongside. They've got 2 big dry docks. And they recently invested in a big synchro lift that can lift 2,500 tons and can accommodate ships of more than 100 meters. Is the largest in the Eastern Med region, and that's predominantly used in the yacht market. A very interesting statement by Onyx about last year's results is that 8 out of 10 of the more than 500 ships that called their shipyards last year were Greek-owned, which shows that the Greek owners are actually coming back to Greece. They're backing our ship repairs facilities, even when they have to pay for it themselves. Last year, Onyx again reported 438 ships in Syros and 62 vessels in the newly reopened shipyard in LFCs, which is the next one in our slides. Again, a very good facility. Historically, a lot of potential that has gone through difficult times. Opened in 1962. About 1975 was privatized, then it was nationalized, then in the early 20s was privatized. It didn't work out, the shipyard closed, and we see the shipyard opening its doors again in 2022, again with significant investments going in for the restoration of the facilities. And last year they recorded a total of 62 vessels completing repairs in the facility. About 78 kilometers north east of Piraeus, we have the shipyard in Chalkis, in the island of Evia. They've got 2 floating docks, good size. They can accommodate reportedly 7 to 10 vessels at a time. They've been servicing both commercial and privately owned vessels. It's one of the shipyards that is doing both commercial and yacht, same as Syros. And they do offer a number of facilities in-house with workshops, mechanical and plating works. The facility in Salamina, Spanopoulos Group, this one opened in 2006. 2 floating docks. One, the big one, is about the same size as the one we have in Panama. Privately owned shipyard, has been working quite well with the facilities that they have been offering in Salamina in-house. 2 more repair facilities. As I said, we're not going to list all of them. There are many facilities in Panama at the moment, especially for smaller repairs and repairs afloat. We just included these 2 as an example of facilities that use slipways to do repairs and some new building. Salamis shipyard has been around for a very long time, and it's a very well-known yard in Salamis Island, which is right across from Panama. On a very positive note about what's coming next, we see one of the historically largest facilities in Greece to be opening its doors again. The shipyard in Skaramangas. It used to be the largest facility in the Eastern Med. with a very big graving dock that could accommodate up to VLCCs. Founded in 1937 as a shipyard predominantly for the naval ships. 1957 was reopened, founded this time by Stavros Niarchos. The early 80s, shipyard was nationalized, put into liquidation. And we come to last year, 2023, then many of you may have already heard the interest of George Prokopiou bought the shipyard, and we hope that this will mean a complete new era and new investments coming in. There was an article earlier in February this year saying that the first tanker actually arrived into the shipyard for repairs, and hopefully this will signify a new era for the Skaramangas shipyard. Put a few some data here for you today just to be able to compare prices. Greece, Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania. This is the base steel price that we see. You will note that Greece steel price is a bit more expensive than our nearby facilities. This is obviously we don't have our own steel mills, labor costs, and all of that. But we are in Greece, we're looking more at the strategic location where we are. We're very close to the vessels coming up from Suez, from Gibraltar. So on the balance of things, especially when we're talking about repairs that do not include large amount of steel repair, Greece can be still quite competitive. Some notes just for guidance. Obviously, as I said, the prices that we've got in that table are the base prices for base steel prices. It will vary depending on curvature, location, how urgent the repairs are, steel availability. Negotiations are also possible depending on the amount of steel required. So what makes Greece competitive? As I said, location. We're about 2.5 days sail from Port Said, coming up the Suez Canal, 6 days from Gibraltar, that assuming a 10-knot speed. That's just an estimate to give an idea. If you were looking to take a vessel for repairs in a facility at the Marmara Sea or, sorry, the Marmara of the Black Sea, you will excuse me, I don't really want my presentation to die. Then you would be looking at an additional 2 days for that. So there is a bit of saving there to be considered. Technical know-how and the support from the local workshops. Historically, we've had very good know-how that has continued throughout the years and have been supporting owners not only in Greece, but even for repairs that they would be conducting abroad. Wide range of locally based OEM representatives with a very good supply chain with good connections, not only for the shipyards that are on the mainland, but also the shipyard of Syros has an airport and good connections by sea. Reliable service. As I said, this is a big thing now in the last few years. Then we don't have as much action of the unions. The shipyards are open; they're open for business. We don't see any issues in the last few years. Ability to employ owners, preferred contractors. Now then, that is not a given for most of the shipyards around the world, especially in the Eastern Med region. It's part of the negotiations. Owners may incur a penalty for bringing in their own contractors, whereas in Greece they can do their own selection of the contractor they want to work with. Proximity to the base, obviously, for the Greek-based clients, and of course, excellent selection of local surveyors. So I've included a few slides for yachts as well. Are people here involved in yachting? Do we have anyone working in the yacht sector? Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Not as many, but I'm sure you will all find it very interesting. So I'm not going to repeat the facilities that have been doing both commercial and yachts. Obviously, we did say facilities like Syros, Halkis, they have been accommodating yachts, and they've got good know-how. A bit of background information about yachting in Greece. I'm sure it's obviously is obvious because of our location, but the Greek yacht market increased significantly during the pandemic. It was actually the one sector of tourism that boomed the most during that time. We see an increased demand for yacht charter in the Mediterranean area. And a very interesting fact about 2022 is that we were the second most popular destination for chartering a yacht, right after Croatia. I know this data will change, but we're very proud of that. But I think we're always about in the top 5 preferred destinations to charter a yacht. We have a number of large marinas in the Athens Riviera. There's a lot of investment going in at the moment. The Alimos Marina is one of the biggest marinas, housing a large number of yachts. A lot of investment is going in now with the Ellinikon project, the Marina Nagos Kosmas. So we expect the number of yachts that can be accommodated in Greece to increase in the next few years. Now, what that actually means for us is that all of these yachts will need to be accommodated and also do the routine works at the end of the summer, do the maintenance, the refits, upgrades. We see a lot of conversion projects taking place in Greece, PSVs or tugboats being converted into luxury yachts. So in order to support all of this, obviously the facilities have traditionally been there, but they're actually improving a lot in the next over the past few years. Spanopoulos in Perama comes first. They've got a very good facility established in 2014. This facility of Spanopoulos, they do only yachts. They've got a large mobile crane with 820 tons lifting capacity. They've got a large space, a floating dock, and they offer all sorts of services for the yacht at the end of the season, and as I said, for winterization and repairs. I'll quickly run through the few more facilities that are quite popular for yachts in Greece. The Papilla shipyard, again, they've got a large space. They've got a very big mobile hauler, 3 travel lifts of a large capacity. We have seen a number of repairs and conversions taking place in this yard. It's interesting to note for this facility and a couple more that I've got in the slides that they only hire the space. They don't actually organize any of the contractors. They don't have any in-house workshops. They hire the space, they provide the general services, electricity, supply of water, security, and that is about it. It's up to the owners to bring their own contractors to organize how they want the project to be run. And obviously that comes with the associated risks and liabilities. We have been very often doing JH143 project-specific surveys in these yards, and that is mostly because each owner is in charge of their project, and the CBN has a general oversight, but the owners are liable to get the project organized. Halkiti CBN, similar to Papilla, is actually there right next door. Again, a facility that can accommodate a number of boats. They've got a big travel lift. They don't offer any other services on site, but they have been historically doing a number of repairs and conversions for yachts in Greece. Another facility, Atlas, since 1913. They all actually, if you ever come to Perama, you will see all the facilities are lined up next to each other. It's actually quite nice and very convenient for owners and for us, and across the street or the workshop. So it's quite actually the relationship between the owners organizing their projects and the contractors being alongside. Right. That's it. Conclusions. Am I on time? Excellent. So some conclusions. What do we see, and how do we feel the market to be growing in Greece? Obviously, we see that the ship repair industry is on the rise again. We see a lot of investments in infrastructure and supply chain, which is very positive. We've had over 650 vessels doing repairs in 2023, and we expect the number to continue to rise, especially now that we have some big facilities opening the doors again, like the one in Elefsina, and hopefully Skaramangas very soon. For yachts in particular, we can be very cost effective compared to the other facilities in the Mediterranean if we compare with Italy and France. A bit of what I mentioned before, project-specific JH143s are quite important for the yacht projects, exactly because the owners are tasked to organize the selection of the contractors, the workshops. With the investments currently taking place in Greece, we expect to start seeing more shipyards taking things in-house. That might change in the future the way that we've been operating. But so far, this has been the case for a number of years, and it has been working quite well for owners. Owners still have the option to select the preferred contractors. As we said, be close to the base is much easier when you have to arrange your superintendents to attend and you're nearby. Naturally, that might be one of the downsides for the non-Greek owners, because they will still need to get someone to organize their repairs, but it's a way that has been working quite well, both in selecting your contractors and saving costs. On a global scale, and that's a little bit more of a thing than we feel then will come into play in the near future, the power supply will be one cost to watch, because that will no longer depend on that will depend on the shipyard facility and the power market data. So we are expecting to see the cost of power supply to fluctuate across the different repair locations, whether that is in Greece, and especially if we try to compare with the likes of Turkey or the other countries outside the EU. Right. Any questions? Please, Paris, go ahead.
With the expansion of special ship repair, are you seeing any skill shortages affecting quality repairs?
So if we see the question, sorry, I will repeat the question for those watching us online. So if we see any risk with the skill sets of the workers in Greece and the facilities impacting the quality, apologies. So we have, as mentioned, we have seen that the workshops in Greece and the shipyards have historically collected a great know-how over the years. That was actually one of the things that continued progressing throughout the years, because all the shipyards and all the technicians were actually not run by a shipyard. They were being run independently. Going forward, in terms of training, in terms of new people, younger people coming into play, it's possible that maybe the shipbuilding is not as attractive. There would need to be some government initiatives potentially to bring more people into shipping. Skilled labor for the shipyard in general might become an issue. At the moment, I think because we see a lot of investment coming in, potentially it hasn't been as obvious, but that is certainly one thing that it needs to be taken into account, not for Greece, but in general, and that has to do with a skilled workforce, the younger generations coming in. Thank you. Anyone else who has a burning question that needs to be answered before going to Greece? in 2 weeks' time? Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. I will stay around for coffee. So sure.
Question by Alan is, Greece is more expensive than, say, Turkey, but how does it compare in terms of availability of dry docks and repair times?
Right. So Greece indeed is a bit more expensive when we look at the cost of steel. As I mentioned, is not just the cost of steel that we need to be taken into consideration. Especially for the facilities that are in the Black Sea, you need to take into account not only the time, the additional time to get there, but also the Bosporus passage and the fuel cost. So there's some additional cost to be factored in. In terms of availability, okay, which is hard to compare with a country that has so many more facilities than in Greece. But one thing that is very positive to note is that the shipyards are being a lot more strict in Greece nowadays about the time that you book your slot. In fact, some of them actually impose quite significant penalties if you overstay your welcome in the dry dock. Now that might seem a bit harsh, but then in a way that ensures that people will try to complete the repairs on time to avoid these penalties. And it ties back to what I said about a more reliable service that is being offered in Greece nowadays. I hope, Alan, that covered your question. Anything? Okay. So I'll just do a final recap of your learning objectives, and I hope we've covered it all, but feel free to let me know if you have any more questions later. So by now you should be able to discuss the current shipyard facilities in Greece for commercial and yachts. Obviously the largest ones that we have covered. I couldn't possibly go through all of the facilities in Greece. You should have an overview and be able to compare the ship repair markets across the Eastern Mediterranean region. You will understand the status of ship repairs and market trends in Greece, and you should be able to list the key challenges and trends in the Greek repair market. So this will conclude the ABL Maritime Market Briefing for this month. Thank you very much for the guys joining online. As John mentioned, we will have to stop our presentation here today. Hope to see you for the next one. Thank you very much for joining.